then yes, the answer to that question is yes. However, what this reminds me of is, for some reason, something that came up today. Oh, I was out looking for mushrooms, morel mushrooms, and I just happened to go outside, and there's some kind of church just a few blocks away, and they're having their outdoor sermons. And I was like, what is that? It's just someone yelling and yelling, and they just kept saying, he is coming, he is coming. And I was thinking, is Jesus a porn star? I mean, it seems like they just kept saying that over and over again. But anyway, I was out there looking for morels, and I thought about all the things that went through my mind. Those things went through my mind, and then I started thinking about how people are always looking for formulas to make things okay. You know, they want to know God in this way for things to be all right. They want to get on the spiritual path so that they're around people that love them and that they can heal all this stuff. Or some people who are very materialistically minded, they think it's going to improve their wealth and, you know, all these sorts of things, all typical religious notions. So it's not just yogic, but there is truly one thing which will satisfy you completely and totally forever. But there is only one thing that will do that. So as I was out there listening to porn star Jesus and looking for more morel mushrooms, this was going through my mind. And I recognized that people want one thing, but they don't want the one thing that's actually going to give it to them. They keep externalizing. I want this level of satisfaction in my work. I want this kind of spouse. I want this much money. I want to be this healthy. I want to be this peaceful. And I want these things to give it to me, like this meditation practice, or this guru, or this book, or this new age class I'm going to take for $1,600 or $2,400 because the author is really good and persuasive. We project meditation techniques, ideas of God, ideas of love, situations, circumstances, as though that one thing is going to do it for us. And we practice, many times people practice because they want that city, that soul power of attracting that one thing to them. That's really an underlying motivation for a lot of people. And that's okay. It gets you in the gate. But what if people really focused on the one thing that would do it? And that relates to this idea of living without hopes and desires and content with what comes unsought. If there's one thing that you want that's going to give you satisfaction, it's going to be living in that way. But I don't mean just reading it over in your mind or tattooing it on your arm so you see it. I mean, every moment you're living from that perspective, meaning any time a choice arises or an option arises, you weigh it against that and you choose to follow that precept. And you do it every single time. It's not, when you are devoted to something, when you are devoted to your wife and your lover and your loved one, you're devoted. You're not like devoted most of the time, but every now and then you kind of get a get out of jail free card by not telling them. No, that's not devotion. And that's not going to make it healthy. The same thing is true with the spiritual path. Devotion to that which is true has to be devotion all the time, not just when it's comfortable for you. And that is the thing, that if people did it, that would be the one thing which would totally satisfy them. But we play all these games, and no one comes right out and tells you that usually, because they want you to keep following the carrot for whatever reason. And so it's like also the idea of seeing everything as God. So forget about living without hopes and desires and be content with what comes unsought. You don't like that? That's a little too depressing for you? No problem. No problem. What can you do then? Well, what you want when you want something truly, even the smallest thing, is that sense of a reflection of realizing the self always. That's what your desires are. That's what they're trying to do. But they're just covered by darkness, and they can't quite see where they're going. They're just reaching for random things instead of looking up. But if you're looking for God in all these things, God in relationships, God in money, God in power, God in spiritual contentment, God in a guru, God in a meditation technique. If you're looking for God in all those things, well, here's what you got to know. God is in everything. Okay, it's a wonderful statement. You can tattoo it on your arm. You can put a little plaque up on your wall so when people walk in, they say, oh, how sweet. God is everything. You must be a very spiritual person. Or right now, starting right now, everything you just admit is God. Everything. Now, you're going to have to grow into that. Meaning you're not just saying, this is God, this is God, this is God. I mean, if everything is God, you're not just saying this is God, that's God. That's a mental game. That's not going to get you anywhere. But you are responding as though it is true. That changes everything. That changes everything. But who's going to do it? Are you going to do it? I hope so. But are you really going to do it? Again, be devoted to it, not just, sure, I'll marry you and I'll take care of you to a certain point in time, but then when I start to see you getting old, I'm going to, now I'm going to move on, or whatever it might be. Or are you going to say, I'm devoted to you until the very end, no matter what? There's no looking to the left, no looking to the right. Devotion is there. You don't got to worry. So the same has to be true for your devotion to that one thing which truly is going to satisfy you, which is going to be the recognition that everything is God. That's going to throw your mind and brain for a loop, especially if you're really identified with being someone, and that's very subtle too. The first question that was asked up here, where was it? Why is awakening or becoming self-realized sometimes described as being a crisis? Because just imagine, you're just admitting everything is God, which means you're not making something more important than another. You're not loving someone more than another. You're not acting different to anything. You're treating it all as though it were God, no matter what. Not, this is a little more God, this is a little more sentient God. I mean, everything. Are you going to live that way? Can you live that way? You sure can, but are you going to do it? It's not an easy thing to do. That's why most marriages fail. Being devoted is not an easy thing to do. Why? Because we have our preferences. If we have the failure rate of marriages that we do, well, geez, you really think that people are going to be that devoted to something that is not perceivable while involved in layers of delusion? No, they can barely be devoted to things that they can see. So anyway,